Hi, I'm Steve, and in this video we're going to talk about the differences between using who or whom. Now, before we begin, I want to let you know that this video is all done with the idea of using American English. British English might have differences in this or in other topics that we cover later on. There are differences in pronunciation, spelling, and some grammar use, as well as word choice. So this is specifically how Americans will use this. Okay, let's get into it then. Who is a subject pronoun, which means it's the subject of the sentence. For example, who does this belong to? Whom is an object pronoun, which means that it's going to be the object of the sentence. For example, this belongs to whom? Now, generally, they're separate. You don't use who when you should use whom. However, it's becoming more common in spoken American English to not use whom. It's starting to fall out of favor, except in formal writing. In formal writing, you will see whom used more often, and you should see it used correctly. But in everyday language, a lot of people will say who. For example, here, you might hear this belongs to who instead of this belongs to whom. In most cases, you can get away with this and not have to worry about problems. But for a person who is concerned with speaking correctly, this belongs to who is not correct. Native speakers have a little trick that they can use to determine if they should use who or whom in a sentence. This trick will not help everyone learning English, because to use this, you need to understand when to use he and when to use him in a sentence. Okay, having said that, this is the trick. If you can replace him in the sentence that might use either who or whom, and the sentence makes sense, then you use whom. So for example, in this case, you could say, this belongs to him. It makes sense. It sounds correct. So therefore, whom is correct. Now for who, sometimes it doesn't work, this little trick, because in a lot of cases, you need to change the wording of the sentence in order to make the sentence usable with this little trick that I mentioned. So for example, who does this belong to? You wouldn't even say, he does this belong to, or him does this belong to. It makes no sense whatsoever. So you would have to change the wording of a sentence like this. And that's the other reason why this little trick will not help all learners of English, because you won't know exactly how to change the sentence to make it work. So understand that this little trick that I mentioned, that it's there, and it might be a while in your learning until you're able to use it well. So this has been the difference between who versus whom, how to use them and how they're used in sentences. Now you can use these in sentences that are not questions, and I'll show you that in a second. Okay, this is how you would use who and whom in a sentence that is not a question. For example, for who we need is a plumber. For whom, you could say a plumber is whom we need. Now, going back to that trick that I mentioned, this is a case where it does not work. Because if you change whom to him, this sentence will not make sense. A plumber is him we need. So you would have to change the wording of the sentence for it to make sense. And sometimes when you do that, it ruins the effect of the trick. It makes it so that it isn't going to work for you. So this is a short explanation of how to use who and how to use whom. And remember, in spoken American English, who is becoming more popular to use than whom. In a lot of cases, you will see who when whom is the word you should be using. This is colloquial. It's not correct, but it's normal. In formal speaking and in formal writing, you will see whom. It's going to be the case in formal speaking and formal writing. In formal speaking and formal writing, you will see whom used when it's supposed to be. So this is a little explanation of how to use these, and I hope it helps you. If you have any comments, leave them in the comments section below, or if you have any suggestions or requests for other videos explaining different things of English. Thank you for watching.